Hi everybody, welcome back to Roll Across the Pond. We're doing Hermit Chronicles tea break today of episode 5, 6, and maybe 7.
I remember us having the tuxedos, but like listening back on the episode, I was like, I forgot that we picked like the Dumb and Dumber tuxedos.
Yes, there is a point, I think, so in episode 5 you guys picked the Dumb and Dumber one, and then in episode 6, when I describe Caesar's suit, or like tuxedo and stuff, you say, I look at my burlap tuxedo, and I just said, Mom said I look great. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? You do have the burlap cufflinks and the tie, so...
I'm just like the horse of every color, but my tuxedo constantly changes.
Yes! It changed with your size. It went...
There we go.
From the Dumb and Dumber one to a burlap one, when you changed into the cheetah.
I never thought of that if my clothes changed with me, because then that would mean I would have like a big old baggy... I would pretty much be a cheetah in a giant zoot suit.
Yes! That would have been funnier. I should have played off that. Even though you did use it to your advantage. You're like, hey, you said...
Oh yeah, like when you were just like, you get that +2 charisma, I noticed like in the whole episode, it's just me being like, hey, you said +2, you said +2.
So we're going to talk about the casino episode. Or not even just the casino, the cart chase, and the casino episode, and the backyard, the underground dark side of it, which was the deck of many things, and not forcing, obviously, but making people play so others can bid and get money and whatnot on that. So let's start with episode 5 with the prep, I guess. Yeah, that's we usually start. Oh, I'm trying to remember where the birds found you this time. I believe Luke was in the library again.
Is this where the library? Yeah, this was the first library mafia, with the goats looking at me.
Yes, I think. Yes.
Yeah, this is when he was just like, you owe me money because you ripped the book too.
Yes, that's right. Yes, so that was the introduction to the library mafia and how the goats are gunning for reader. But then you have this great deal now where you can rent out books, but for a certain amount of time, longer than you'd expected, which is nice. But it's just funny how later on in the episode, like, R makes a joke about it, and you're like, wait a second, why does R hate me? Why does Pixie hate me? And they don't hate you.
I remember that whole exchange of just going like back and forth, just being like, I get to keep them forever. No, you don't. Like,
yeah. Forever. No. 10 days. 20 days. 30 days.
20 days. No late fees.
Yeah, no late fees. 10 gold. 20 gold. 50 gold. Yeah, the back and forth is funny. And then the 3 goats, like, peeking their head out, like, we're watching. That was great. And then, obviously, with Willie being back home, and the shaking of the tree, like, you were trying to hide from...
Oh, I was...
Chief?
I forgot my bird's name.
Alvin?
Sarge?
Probably Sarge. Yeah. It doesn't sound right, but... Clive, that's what it is. So, yeah, you were trying to hide from Clive, and he saw you, and he pretended, but then you spooked him anyways by shaking the tree, and I was like, oh man, I could totally get damage to this bird for once, but then I thought, no, they're just messing around. This is probably a normal thing they do.
That's also when I was just like, here's some mushrooms.
Yeah, he was just going to town. Is it strange to, like, not have that continuate? Like, it is kind of a continuation, but it's not like an Animal Kingdom where it's like, okay, now we take off right where you left off. No, this is like weeks later. It could be months later. Is it weird to kind of be like, oh yeah, you know what, actually I'm older than I was when I did the last mission. I've done more things. I've changed a bit more.
For me, like, story-wise, it does make sense, like, especially how, like, you stated how we'll be doing this.
Hmm.
And from there, I was like, all right, cool. Like, these small gaps in time, it allows you to like get that like long rest in between, so we're not,
Yeah.
run out of abilities and stuff. But it is really nice, like world building, at least for us, because we're just like, all right, how are we, because like right now, I feel like our adventuring party is kind of like the side job, and we're still off doing our own thing.
Sure.
It's cool just to like, and then like how I gave the bird the mushrooms. It was like, oh, of course, I love your mom's mushrooms. So
Yeah.
you're kind of establishing like, oh, this has happened before,
Definitely.
and
Yeah.
there might be a couple missions we've missed in between.
Definitely, yeah. Just making
Like
that.
everybody has built more of a rapport together.
Yeah. That was kind of what I was trying to get across in those moments. What about you, Luke?
Yeah, a lot of the same, but for me, I tend to overthink, and then I was like, there's so much I could have done in this time, and I don't know what it is that this exact moment should be, but I think all's well that ended well, like going to the library and like first meeting Pixie there,
Yeah.
revisiting it, and then introducing like little members of Library Mafia, and then he's actually been trying to practice to do well on missions, but like he's just punching a bag or something.
Yeah.
I think it'll work out well.
Cool. So yeah, back to the episode. So you guys end up back at the headquarters, but it's different, it's more homey. It's even more homey than the last time. You have more of a kitchen, you have more of a hangout area, you have games, you have all those things.
That was when we were getting kidnapped, and I was like, oh, I got my own bag.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was great. Which was funny because I was going to do that. They also have your bags, but then you beat me to that. So I was like, yeah, that's fine. But it's still canon that Caesar has outsourced. And then with the cookies as well, I don't think you still have eaten them. Speaking future wise.
Yeah, when I was listening to the episode again, I was like, cookies, and I was like, I think that's still in my inventory. And I remember because I'll usually listen to them like going to and from work, and I came home and I got my journal, and I was just like, yep, there they are. There's the cookies.
So you do have those cookies. I don't know how long they last, but they are magical, so I'll give you a little bit of leeway.
I was gonna say, I was like, did they go bad? Are they petrified? I'll use them as like a ninja star.
Now they're as sharp as his fur, or as sharp as his teeth. Yeah, so that was interesting. Like, I just thought, what would be a fun thing that Caesar would do? And then I rolled for it, and he got like a natural 20 on making these cookies. So they have to be some sort of benefit to everybody. Yeah, the amount of natural 20s. I think one of my dice is loaded. To be honest, like as what do you call it? What am I trying to say? Like as vulnerable as a DM as I am, I'm being honest with. I don't use one of my dice anymore because they throw too many natural 20s.
Unless you're a player character.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think it's just balance in the universe from like the last one. Is that the one where we got a bunch of nat ones?
Oh yeah, you guys kept in episode 7. Willie rolled constantly bad.
Yeah, I think those.
I think in the middle of the episode he says, I rolled the highest I have since we started this, and it was like a 3.
And it was like, of course, having my lower like stats with Willie, because he has like the -1 in dexterity, and it was constantly like, oh, you need to do like something acrobatic or like sleight of hand or stealth, and I was like,
the cheetah also had really bad stats with certain things. Oh, that is one thing that I did remember. That, like, I think we're jumping around again. But episode 6, sorry. I'm going forward. Episode 6, you say, oh no, I've been using Willie stats, not Carl stats.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that's right. It happens.
I forgot I was a cheetah, which I feel like that's a very good in-character moment.
Yes. So, with that, was this the first or the second time you've met R? I think it was the second time, but I could be wrong.
I think it's first.
Or is it? Was Art there for the museum?
He seemed more friendly with you anyways. And the amount of... I was trying to portray him as Q, for example, but he's a pirate. So he's a lot more reckless and a lot more clumsy and a lot more...
Yeah, so we definitely... Because he was the one that gave me the rock.
Yes, that's right.
And I think even in this one, I was like, oh, I'll just keep my rock.
Yeah, I think you do say, oh yeah, and don't forget, I won't forget I still have my rock. You know, I can do that too. Because you also getting more advanced weapons and such. Like you have those sleeping darts.
Yeah, which I tried to use to no avail.
Yes. Yeah, we'll get into that one. Okay, we'll get there. Yeah, and you're like, oh, but I also have my rock, so I'll use that as well. And then, after all that, you get into a wagon, and who do you meet but Seabiscuit and Craig?
It's almost like we're in a shared universe.
Yeah. And it was bound to happen at some point.
That whole cart chase was... I was like, all right, I got a plan. This will work. And then it just didn't.
Yeah, listeners, if you listen to the Patreon episode where it's the full thing, you will hear the in between when I go to the toilet or check on my daughter and all of that. You'll hear them planning, and then all of a sudden, it is not what they wanted. It is not what they wanted at all. It's
like even me listening to the episode, I was like, why didn't I do this? Why didn't I do that? Like, of course, like hindsight, but
yeah.
I was like, man, these are the things I'm thinking of are like way simpler.
I think in the moment, it in reality, and I love that you do this, Isaac. But you're like, you make sure it's a point that you yourself does not think past what Willie can.
Yeah.
Like you immediately put a stop to, oh no, that's too smart for Willie. I can't think about that. So I gotta just push it outside my brain.
I was trying to count how many times I said it, but it's just so many times where I'm just like, it's hard to play a character that you're smarter than.
I agree.
And like I was constantly like, would I be smart enough to know what to do here? Like, am I?
Yeah. And so the jumping onto the wagon and then missing and then just deciding, you know what, I'm going to jump back to the other one. It just summed it up right there. It was perfect.
I loved Reader just being like concerned for me. Like, you good? I'm like, just keep going. Just keep going.
Yes. Yeah. And then the fact that Reader, you wanted to go on, or Luke, you wanted Reader to go on top of the wagon as well. But then you ended up just being there. You know, like you weren't, not that you weren't proactive, you were proactive in the communication wise, but like Willie was doing all these hops and then you were just like, yeah, and I think Willie jumped over it and he's jumping back and he's
yeah, I think I was thinking, like, I don't know how to help. Like if he was like Mufasaing the wagon, I could be like, oh yeah, I'll help you up. But
sure.
he just jumps over him. He's like, I don't know, I catch him in there. But just waiting for something where like, I can help now. But, yeah, so basically just watched as jump back and forth.
And the cool, like, you know, we got to see a bit of Kayla's cool gadgetry that she gets with her wagons and whatnot. We got to see a little bit of that, and in the future, we got to see a little bit of Orr's personality and his persuasion skills with how he distracted a certain kangaroo. So it was good to see like the NPCs kind of have their moments as well, even though they were just passing more than what you guys do.
It helps bring it more of us working as a group than just being like, oh yeah, they're here too. Yeah. We're the two main characters.
Sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's the idea. And then there's always Caesar, who is like, a part of me does not like playing Caesar, but then a part of me is like, well, Caesar is essential to the bigger story, the wider realm of the world in general. But like, the fact that he's invisible kind of makes him an inevitable win, if that makes sense. Like, if you need an out, which you used him as an out, he's there, and I can't just be like, no, you can't use him. He's a figment of my imagination, not yours.
I feel like I have taken advantage of Caesar so much in this campaign, where it's like the first big bad. Oh, I was just like, we could win with hugs.
Yes, yeah. Everything I painted about Caesar, you're like, okay, I'm gonna turn that on you.
Yeah, you're like, oh, these are his abilities. I was like, well, I can't rely on myself, so here you go, Caesar.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, which is fine. I think it works well. But a part of me is just like, he has to have some sort of fault, but he doesn't. That's the problem. His character-wise, he just doesn't have any. And that's not being big-headed, because he's not even me. He's just an NPC that's in the game. Yeah.
Ironic, though, the character that you said you most relate to is the one you're like, oh, he's flawless and perfect.
But he's also hidden and in the dark and invisible. He doesn't get any attention.
I believe, was it episode, I think it's 6, where like you were holding your daughter and she started making noises, and I immediately like incorporated her into the story.
Yes, you did.
I think
like dang flamingos.
Yeah, we were in the casino, and it was just her just being like, blah, blah, and I was just like, what are you saying?
Yeah. Or like,
I think the first time was like, saying like, oh yeah, there was a cry from the benefactors.
Yes,
and
yeah.
Then starts crying, so it was like, oh, that's the benefactors.
Yes. Yeah, that was the first drop, and then the flamingos were crying, and then we just threw her in later on.
Another like weird. I feel like a lot of Animal Kingdom and Us has been like, does this exist in your world? And it was like, oh, I need to go to the bathroom, and you were like,
yes. Well,
I was like, we are animals, but
well, that's why I had to be like, well, are there bathrooms? But if there are bathrooms, like if you have cats in your house, you don't get separate litter boxes for them. You might get separate food bowls for them, but not litter boxes. They probably just poop in the same litter box. I don't know if cats.
So
if I had rabbits, they would poop in the same area.
I've had both. They all share.
So it's like, I can't say there's difference. So there's one area, and there's different stalls for the shy type. Oh, but that was a funny moment in my head. I was like, because depending on which stall you went into, because there probably are different sizes, but I assume you probably just went into the nearest one because you could fit.
Mm-hmm.
And so automatically in my head, you went back into Willy, like full on owlbear. So you broke everything, and that's where there's the poof, because you broke the walls around you. And I was like, that's just perfect sound for it. And then you carried on. You went back into cheetah form. I thought that was a funny.
I'll admit that whole time I was just like, all right, I have to manage my time. Like, I don't want Jesse to be like, oh yeah, this amount of time is gone, and then me being like, well, I'm not a cheetah anymore.
Yes, I think we did have that conversation before episode 7, where you were like, oh, how long did it take us to get there? And I was like, oh, maybe like 10, 20 minutes, I'm not sure. And you were like, oh, okay, so it's not like a few hours. So they didn't just leave me behind, and I'm like walking around the city because
Oh yeah, like being an owl, like going from a super fast cheetah into an owlbear.
But you guys did not capture the deck of many things in the car chase, so it did arrive at the casino. You guys did arrive at the casino, and I want to address something immediately that is in episode 7 because it had to be there because it was too long of a play out that I couldn't delete it. But basically, the original concept was you guys go to the casino and Caesar has a contact waiting for you at the entrance, which is another moose. And that moose was supposed to help you guys kind of work your way around things, get into stuff. And I forgot completely about this moose. But in Roll20, I put the moose there so I can remember the moose. But I did not remember the moose at all. Now, later on, a certain other moose named Reader decided, oh, there's another moose here, and I don't know what else to do, so I'm going to talk to that moose.
I think he was trying to find cover. So it was like, oh yes, my brother. This is a totally normal thing. To go to a casino with your brother?
But the funniest thing is, like, all of a sudden, like, in the recording, even in the edit, before I edited it, like, I was telling you guys this whole anecdote about what it should have been, where it was going, and then I said, but we're not doing that anymore. Moments later, you're like, I talked to the moose. And I was like, well, now there's a moose in here that no one else knows about, that I never mentioned before, that we're not using, and you're going to use him. And I just found that so funny. Like,
we try to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, basically. And then, because he was supposed to be really, really, like, sly, really secretive. But then I was like, well, now he's not that person anymore. He's a gambler. So then I had to roll about a few things before he made any decisions. And he just turned into this awkward, drugged-out gambler who's not helpful at all. Yeah. And then I think that was actually, is that the first moment of, not innuendos, but like coded messages between you guys? Because Isaac wanted Willie to go in and help him, and he was going to put the moose to sleep.
Yes. I remember.
I think I did that. I think I did that because Isaac was continuously being like, I wouldn't be lying to you.
Right.
But, oh yeah, I hit the animal puns real hard.
Yes. But that carries on to future episodes because I've listened to and when we play them, but I think this is one of the first few times where it's like you guys had conversations in character, trying to stop each other or trying to get somebody to do something. It's funny to see the origin of it.
There's some good stuff. I think that was also, I forgot what it was. I think I told Reader to be a coat rack.
Yes, you definitely mentioned about being a coat rack.
I was like, we'll just put a hat and a coat on you and just be a coat rack in the corner.
Yes, I think it is, yeah. Which is a callback, in a way, to Reader's first episodes, where he was a coat rack. Or in disguise as a coat rack. Okay, this is kind of metagaming-ish. But the question kind of is relevant. When I leave, is it like okay, I don't know what to do here, so let's talk outside of character? Or is it like, okay, he's gone, I just need to let this out, and then we can play it back in character? Have you guys done...
I think that one was probably me more panicking and being like, all right, let's try this together. Because I wanted to make sure Luke was on page with me.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm not as bad as a Reader, but I am somebody who's more introverted and not great at social cues. So whenever you leave, it's like, hi, Isaac. And he'll start talking about like, yeah, here's the plan. I was like, okay, that's what we're talking about. Cool. I think Isaac and I vibe really well.
Yeah, definitely.
But a lot of it is like he panics and then I panic because I don't know what to talk about. So it's like we're both panicking. But both of us are being cool about it and having a normal conversation. But we're both panicking for different reasons.
Yeah, actually, it's very funny. Like, sometimes listeners, because I leave a lot. Sometimes I leave. No, I always leave for a purpose. But sometimes I stay a little bit longer away because I feel like they need a little bit more time to conversate.
Or, like, to the readers out... no, not to the readers. To the listeners out there. I feel like the times that Jesse steps away, that's worth the mission of Patreon.
Yeah, it's true. Sometimes I do want to cut the clip. I do have a load of clips that I cut from you guys talking, and I do want to put them at the end of the episode. It's just timing and management and does it fit? But at some point, I might just take all those clips and put them into one episode of behind the scenes, or not
out of
behind
context.
The scenes.
William Reader.
Yeah, out of context, or Jesse steps away moments. So I might do that at some point, because I do have a load. All of them are on their own audio tracks. that I've cut and I've saved. Yeah, because they always just make me laugh. And I want to put them in the episode, I just forget.
Just like, meanwhile, while the DM is away.
Yeah.
Plus, I do find it very helpful because Isaac is a DM a lot of the time.
That's true.
From what I understand, at least. He's never
Yeah.
DM'd for me.
Yet.
He'll have to do that one day.
Yet.
I would be very excited for that to happen. And a lot of my plans are ridiculous and silly. Like, let's put whipped cream on my face and then I can pretend to be... I'm blanking on his name now. We can pretend to be Radagast.
Austin? Radagast.
For the other. Plans like that where then immediately Isaac is like, okay, or we could just talk to the guy and let
I think it
Like that
comes
works
from DMing of like dealing. I'm just like, all right, don't do the murder hobo thing. Like let's use our brains. We're adults. Let's use our words. But then other times I'm just like, snatch and run, punch him in the face.
yeah. It is funny, the dynamic. Like I'm so used to running things, so I'm always used to talking. Like I will, anytime I have a Zoom call though now, like even work or something where I'm supposed to be there passively, I will talk as if I'm running the show because I'm so used to doing that. And like tomorrow, I'm gonna be on another person's podcast, and thankfully it's not one to one, but like a conversation between me and these other two guys. But I'm hoping I don't switch it on them and then be like, okay, so what do you think about this? What's going on here? Like, I just don't want to do that because I've caught myself in meetings like with my bosses and being like, well, see, this is where you guys are going wrong. And then I spend 20 minutes talking, and they're like, you're not even in charge. Why are you speaking?
Jesse's bosses are talking to each other. They're just like, why do you ask us to roll for initiative?
Yeah, but why is he saying we're a weird animal?
What do you mean I failed my deception check? No, I kind of feel the same way. Because, like, I very much talk, and, like, I'm pretty sure the people listening right now, they're just like, oh, Luke is in the episode too? But it is our dynamic because like I'll even stop and I'm like, Luke, you good? He's like, yes.
Yeah, we always have to check in on Luke,
and I always feel bad because I'm just like, all right, this, and this, and I was like, wait, leader, how's it going?
Yeah, but I think we're very good at including Luke at least.
Yeah, I'm.
Let's just say in like 90% of the episodes, Luke is the only one with a muted mic.
I do like. I've only seen it once or twice, but to see the vocal files where mine because it's so drastic between nothing and like me talking, you can just see the
yeah,
silence, and then spike.
Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah, editing is fun. Trying to figure out, okay, when did Luke become involved here?
I think we ended up playing a game. It was pretty much like blackjack.
Yes,
because that was when I was still playing as a cheater, and I was like, I'm new in town. I got no money. Like,
yes, you were having a conversation with Austin, and Reader was playing blackjack with the Jaguar. I think it's Jaguar, like tailing him or watching him.
I think Pounce joined.
Pounce, yes, yeah. I wanted it to be more sophisticated than the game mechanics were for the blackjack, but at the same time, it just made sense.
I think it played out well.
Yeah, it is about chance, and that's what dice were doing, and
yeah.
And you,
I liked it. I was very curious of how you would do it. I think I even said in the episode, it was like, I know the whole point is to find the cards, but I am also very curious as to your plan for playing blackjack.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm glad you did, because I wanted, I made... It's like one of those times when I was like, you know what? I'm going to put a little bit more effort into this. Because most of the time, I make things look pretty, but I don't talk about them, and I don't plan to talk about them. Like, I even had this whole thing about the kitchen that if you guys were to have gone anywhere near that, I would have made stuff happen.
Also, my failures into success of like being in the casino. Like, especially, like, once we went upstairs, and then Caesar paid for Reader to also join the game and stuff. Like, when it came to do the blood contract.
Yes!
Like, I had just thought of a background story for Carl, like, not even, like, 20 minutes earlier. And
that
then
was
they're just
incredible.
like, well, like, when I signed it, they're like, that, and, like, I'm pretty sure you were like, all right, this is how we reveal Isaac is, like, Willie. And I was just like, I was adopted, I don't know my real name. And you're like, oh, it's okay.
That was beautiful. I love that you brought it back. Because it didn't even click in my brain. I was like, you know what? They foiled my plan on revealing themselves.
Yeah, and, like, it was in that moment, like, I'll be honest, in my head, I was screaming. I was like, this worked!
It was perfect. I mean, in the end, he did figure out that you were working with Reader, but he still didn't know that you were Willie the entire time.
There's still a mysterious cheetah out there named Carl somewhere.
Yeah. So it was flawless, like that, the back and forth. And then when you guys did move from the casino, the main floor, to the not secret, but the VIP section, I guess. Was it very apparent of what I was doing, or was it like what's gonna happen? Why are we sitting here?
At first, I thought we were gonna do, like, since you were already doing the blackjack earlier, I thought, I was like, all right, here's him, like, introducing this mechanic that we're gonna have later, and I thought that was gonna be like the end prize. So, like, we would gamble our way up. And then the guy would be like, you know what, I don't got money, but I'm putting this as, like, that's what I thought we were going towards.
That's why you were so surprised. I was like, yeah, well, what do you think? I'm making you sign things?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. What did you think, Luke?
I have two different answers for this. Firstly, when it was happening, like, doing it, I was like, this is an interesting concept, and I'm just trying to figure it out. And it's like, I'm sure I could figure this out if I think hard enough. Surely I'm smart enough to figure out what's happening. And then the other part of me is listening to the episode, and I'm like, this guy is an idiot. Like, clearly the number is what they're betting, what money they're investing into this. And that was a majority of, like, what I was trying to be like, what is that number?
I did remember you were like, and because I was like, oh, and the number went up here, and then you were like, and then for Willie, is his number going up? And then for me,
you were like, in that episode, you were constantly like, you were trying to figure out what causes the numbers to go up and down.
Yes. It was
funny. Investors, right?
Yeah, it was the investors betting and bidding and like, the more entertaining you were, the more intriguing you were, the more money you got.
That was, once I figured that part out, that was just like, all right, chaos is coming for me. Like, and that's when you're just like, oh, you're doing this, Isaac? I was like, aren't I being entertained? Are my numbers going up? Like,
yes. Yeah, yes, actually, it's skyrocketed. I think at one point in the last episode, I do say, like, you are the only one with money because everybody else is, because you grabbed the whole deck or something like that. Oh no, that was in episode 7. Before you threw it.
Yeah, my like when they were like, all right, here's the whole deck, and I remember even in the episode, I'm like, is he holding the deck or are we just pulling cards? And like while listening to it, I was like, well, I know what I do in the end is like just smacking everything to the floor. And I thought to myself, I was like, Isaac, why didn't you just grab the whole deck and just eat it?
Yeah,
like that was like I was like, I should have just eaten the deck, and then like we could have just fought our way out, or like tried to
something where
dealt with getting the cards later. But I still love the I guess like the slapstick nature of like just throwing cards everywhere and us like picking them up and then once again cards. like a silly throwaway line was when I was like, oh, I don't know how to gamble, I don't know how to play. I was like, I'm good at 52 card pickup.
Yes,
and then later I was brilliant. Just like, 52 card pickup.
That was it just played it so well. And like the 52 card pickup, like the amount of time Caesar failed to just sneak and grab the deck, like he had so many, like, I think he was 2 majority, but, like, he had another third time where he could not, like, get even close. But the other 2 times where he just kept knocking over the deck, and it was just, I was getting embarrassed for this poor invisible lion. Come on, man, get yourself together. Take a moment, and then try again. And then he just failed worse, and I was like, I think the third time he got a natural 1, and that's why it kind of just poured out everywhere. But the funny thing is, even though he was rolling poorly on his sleight of hand, he wasn't the dealer, the alpaca. Never saw it. Like, never got the inkling that it was something or somebody. It was always believing that it had to be the wind. It never rolled high enough for some reason. It just played off that way. Oh, that was so frustrating for me. Because I was like, if I get it, that's the end of the game. That's it. We run.
It was very much a task failed successfully.
Yeah. Or I think in the 8th episode, when after you like grab all the cards, and actually I was hoping for like more powerful cards to be thrown out there from the other guys even, but besides that, like when you threw them all at Caesar, and then the dealer used a legendary action, and all of a sudden you just hear like the smallest of Luke's voice, like, wait, is he the boss? Is he like the big bad guy? It's like, well, obviously, this is his domain. You're taking his stuff, and you're like, oh, that changes things. And you were like, we gotta get out of here. Oh, and then the epicness of a part of me was gonna put you guys on this table, and once you signed your names, you were stuck on that table until the end of the game, for example. Or if you had to do something, you could do that one thing and then you'd be back at the table. The problem is you didn't put your names. So I couldn't keep that with you. So even if it was a part of it...
I forgot that Reader also had a fake name.
Yeah, yes.
What was your fake
name?
Ryder.
Yes. But you rolled high enough.
Then why could the duck leave?
Well, because I couldn't hold you guys to that. I couldn't establish that was a part of the rules. So I just had to let it slide. But, and the fact, like, I was thinking, like, you know what? They probably wouldn't leave. They're doing this. And then all of a sudden, Isaac goes, and Willie gets up. And I was like, oh, right away. Okay.
Oh, I was wondering about that. Because you did sound like it was like so you open the chest, right?
Yeah.
Before the mimic attacks.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it was like, so you get up. I was like,
yeah, I was like,
not bad.
Get up?
Is he not supposed to do that?
That was my whole plan into like stabbing Austin with the sleeping dart.
Yes.
Failed.
Again, listeners, it was a preemptive plan of I left the room and these guys planned. And they sounded so confident, and they were like, "Yeah, that's it. That sounds perfect. That didn't work." And then I didn't hear it at the time. I'm making it straight. Like I wasn't there at all. And then it failed anyways, and I didn't even have to do very much. I just played it as you would play a normal situation, and it didn't work out.
Despite everything of like, oh, so he's looking at Willie now, so I could throw a poison dart.
Yeah.
And you missed. I do like that. You're like, oh, and so I'm going to shoot at him. And then you're like, again, this little voice is like, oh, no, never mind. I missed. It didn't work. Like, abort. Let's just go. Let's go.
I remember, too, like, listening, I totally forgot that you got a crossbow, Luke, and it just never got used.
Yes. I remember.
Because I also forgot.
That is one thing I love, that like I'm giving you guys as much freedom as I can to make these objects and stuff, and I think the only things that have been used are the sleep darts and the rock. I think was used one.
Yeah,
tuxedo was used.
Oh, and the tuxedo, yes, with the charisma checks. That I did. So
and our tourist outfits.
Oh, true. Yeah, the disguises are helpful. With that, did the tuxedos help you with the later on persuasion check?
I think they did. I remember constantly being like, that +2, that +2.
Yeah. I just can't remember if you mentioned it during those, because they were very... If you didn't get those, Caesar would not have had a chance to get away at all. Because basically, you guys convinced them you're trying to help get the cards back. And in the 8th one, where he does use telekinesis, part of me was like, I hope these guys can take him. Because there's a lot of bad guys in here. And there's only 3 of you. But you were able to escape with very little damage. There is the claws of a demon-like equivalent of the Animal Kingdom world that will probably come into play at some point for Reader. Who knows? Well, hopefully we know.
Though I would agree, but in a stuttery, like, we know.
Sure.
We know.
Exactly. But in the end, if one of you dies, it's a prequel to another universe where it didn't happen.
Oh, is that what happens? Is that Hermit Chronicles just was an alternate universe?
Well, no, I would say it still happened, but it happened in the appropriate way in Animal Kingdom, to where if Reader dies, he's still alive, and he doesn't die in the normal timeline. But
Hermit Chronicles would be the what if.
Yes, exactly. Speaking of that,
not like a reader retelling the story where it's just like, oh yes, I found these deck of cards on the side of the road, but it was like, oh, because it was at the casino.
No, not like that. No. He's not crazy.
Oh no, just exaggerating the truth.
Oh no, not that either.
Ooh, we could do it like that. Almost like the Hermit Chronicles is from the point of view of Reader, and of course, being the shy, like, bookworm he is, he embellishes these stories. If Willie ever joins, like, the main cast, they're just like, did he really do that? We're like, no. Like, this is what actually happened. What is he telling you?
Yeah, just imagine, like, Willie is like some like very skinny just owl.
Yeah,
malnourished owl. It's just
he's like, he said I was a druid that had, like, fungus growing out of him. Look at me, I'm sharply dressed, I'm clean. Like,
yes, that would be great. But you guys escaped with the cards, and you did your Ocean's 11 goodbyes, and you all went your own separate ways, ready for the next things to happen. And in that, I do believe that from there, you guys become a little bit more popular, and that will be explained in the next episode. So hopefully you'll see us then, or here.
Hopefully you don't see.
You might see a photo or two of, like, the animals of the Animal Kingdom, and okay, but we're going to end it there. Thank you for joining for this tea break. Luke is waving. Don't forget to follow our socials. Go to the website, look at the new merch stores. We just got Leaf in stock, and all that fun stuff. Yeah, fan art, obviously. And, just don't forget to share it. Spread the word. The merch is great. Isaac is wearing a shirt of Willie. So, yeah, enjoy that. And get it. And the mug, of course. And has an amazing mug. Yeah. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you we'll talk to you next time. Bye.